room with me. Oh, he just left. But he should be back soon. There we go. So here we go. We got, we're live, we're up, we're running. And remember, those comments are there for you. So if you want to say good morning, say hello, or if there's anything else that you'd like to, any companies that you'd like to see, any cryptos that you'd like to talk about, just let me know and we'll talk about those things. Otherwise, I'll just share out my screen and we'll get those things up and running for you. I got to pop open Webull here. There we are. And I'll share that out so you guys can see it. Boy, what a time that we're having in the crypto space right now. We're just keep on bumping with Ethereum and Bitcoin right up against resistance, and also not following down too far below support. Things are definitely getting a little bit tighter as we watch that price action take place. Let me share my screen. There we go. There's Webull up and running for you, ready to go. So I have Arcimoto up here, and I was just reading up a little bit about them and looking at some of the losers that we have in the pre-market, and they're dropped under $12 per share. So even though that's not the lowest they've ever been, you know, I kind of like the direction that the company's taking, and I think that as they scale up production and they look to more of the innovation side of things, I think that they actually have a decent foothold in a kind of unique niche where you wouldn't necessarily find a lot of other EV type plays. So I think, you know, I'm kind of enticed by them. So they didn't produce quarterly results that were really all that strong. I think that they fell below what people were expecting, and also in the in today's climate, literally today, with the market being like it is and as volatile as it is, we have China with things slowing down over there economically. We have the Delta variant worldwide. We have the Afghanistan stuff going on. There's just a lot of things that are going to wreak havoc on the markets. Plus, the United States exchanges are very run up at the moment. So that's also something that's going to be a little bit fragile and a little bit touch and go over time. And I think that we're going to see some fairly good discounted prices and maybe a little bit more price dropping before it's over. So it's going to be an interesting market open for us today, which happens in about 5 minutes. So let's just drop by crypto real quick, because that's what I had in my title today. Because I really think that right now that's the interesting, that's one of the interesting things to watch as it plays out. We've seen Bitcoin use this 46.5-ish line that we have here. Kind of be danced around. The 200-day being a really good line of support for us for Bitcoin as time goes on. And I think that we're going to continue seeing it hold around there and marking time. Really news about those Bitcoin ETFs and seeing some of the volatility come out of it until those ETFs hit could be something huge for us. And honestly, there could be a drop right before we get the announcement, where you would get that sort of fake selling pressure coming in, and then kind of shaking some people out, getting lower prices, and then buying in for a good deal, leading into those ETFs, which there's nothing been approved so far, but there's been a lot of continuation and further discussion on behalf of the SEC. And yet we still are waiting on a Bitcoin ETF, as well as some, I think there's 3 or 4 Ethereum ETFs that are also filed for right now that are pending approval. And I would be surprised within the next 6 to 12 months that we actually start to see some of those ETFs hit. And once one does, I think it opens the floodgates for others. All right. So that's Bitcoin, and you can see it working right around that 200-day. I don't think that we have really any bad news to report on for crypto right now. There we go. There's still a lot of very bullish sentiment. There's a lot of institutional interest that's coming into Ethereum. And as companies are waking up to the potential of Ethereum, and now that we have the base burn fee with the London hard fork moving in, and then also somewhere between February and April is when we have the switch from proof of work to proof of stake. That's also going to be something very important. It will make it much more energy efficient in order to get that sort of consensus. And then the people who, instead of the miners getting the rewards, is the people who are staking who get the rewards. And you have to have at least 32 ETH in order to stake, unless you join a staking pool, which has its own set of risks. When you join a staking pool, because you're not the one staking your own ETH there, you're staking with a group of other people. So that is a way to capitalize on some of those rewards and get some of those bigger returns on your Ethereum. You can stake through Coinbase, for example. I just want to check the time here. We're about 2 minutes until the market opens. You can stake through Coinbase, and you can earn some interest on your crypto that you stake there through Ethereum. However, it is locked until we get the proof of stake put out there. So once proof of stake hits, I believe that unlocks the ETH 2.0, and you can actually go ahead and move it around as is necessary. Until that point in time, though, any ETH that you do stake is stuck in that staking state. And that was really tricky to say. Stuck in that staking state until ETH 2.0 hits, and we do get that proof of stake. So we have Faiz in here. Hi, Doc. I hope you are well. Do you think Neo could drop lower? That's actually a really great question. There we go. Let's pop Neo up there. Currently trading at about $38 per share. Let me see the pre-market. Actually, I'm sorry, pre-market we're down to 37. There we go. I have an eye appointment coming up soon. Can't wait to get my glasses checked here. But yeah, so you can see in the pre-market here that we dropped down to 37. We have regulatory issues from China, and NEO being a Chinese company. I believe that they have a dual listing coming up on the Hong Kong exchange, which should be good for the stocks overall because they have access to more capital. So NEO being part of that, could it drop lower? Well, we can just look at all the red that's in the markets right now, and some of the economic slowdown that we have talking about, and Delta variant and the other mitigating factors that I mentioned. And it absolutely could drop a little bit lower from where we're at now. I think the next stop, I think $35 would be about as low as I would see it going without any sort of significant. And I'm a long-term investor, so for me, I'm not worried about $2 here, $2 there. In the short term, that short-term volatility doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. So seeing it drop down to 35, I wouldn't say would be super surprising. Seeing it drop down to 30 would be a little bit more alarming as far as big drops go. And for people who would be swing trading and hoping for bullish price action, I think we might have a little bit of time to watch that play out. But certainly, if you're one who's dollar cost averaging, seeing this drop to 35. I mean, honestly, from these prices, it's been a while since I added to my NEO position because it was already pretty big. But now that we're down into the 37s, I think I might need to add to my position a little bit. And just little pieces at a time. Certainly not huge positions based off what I currently have. There, the market's open. We tagged 37.10 so far in the first few seconds of the market open, getting a decent amount of volume right off the open. So we'll see where that. Right now we have a price wall. It just fell off the screen. Actually, right around it's in the low 37s right now. Maybe 37 even is actually where we have a lot of buy side pressure right now, or a lot of support coming in. So those are orders yet to be filled. And there we're getting, we just had a whole bunch come in right in between 37.25 and 37 even. So now we'll continue to watch the bounce around, but you can see in the level 2s over here in the order book that we have a lot of orders to be filled below that 37. So we have lots of support coming in, and we're just melting off any sort of sell side pressure that should be coming from that with people dumping those stocks. So like I said, down to 35. If we continue to see this sort of sell-off, it wouldn't be too surprising. Seeing it go down below 35 would be very surprising. All right. Good morning, Orlando. All right. So let me slide this over so we can find, there's our percent change. All right. I'm not sure who mentioned Joby to us, but that one's up almost 11.5. Oh, yeah, a little over 11.5% today. There we go. Joby Aviation. I wonder what the news is on them. Wow. Incredible little jump that we have today, given that the futures were red today. There we go. Woo, there goes the big sell-off. That was crazy to watch. All right. So a little bit of pump coming out of the pre-market, and then that could honestly be something that could shake people out, get them out of their stops before recovering a little bit in time. So let's go back here. This is one must be moving on momentum, something that would be highly popular. And you can see this 200 period moving average that we have that this candle is slowly returning to. This is a 30-minute chart. So what we have here is the 9 to 9:30. This is the 9:30 to 10 o'clock that we have right here. Lots of sell side pressure coming in there. 1124 is where we have 5,000 for the order, and that should actually be something that holds it down below 1124 in the short term. So let me see, where else do I want to stop by? SoFi. Did we break 14? Oh, we got close. 1401 during the pre-market hours. is the low that we put in here for SoFi, and below 15 is actually where I like to buy my shares, and I have a small position that I entered for SoFi. And a lot of the sell-off that we're seeing with SoFi is related to things that are happening in the broader markets. So I absolutely believe that as the market recovers for them, they're going to recapture some of this price that we have. You can see that most recent gap down. So the support that we had was about $15, and it held on the 13th, which is Friday, and then it fell through support on the 16th, and now that $14 mark could be that nice little round number support that we get. And where's this one out? All the way back here. So on March, in low price of 13.14. So it looks like if we drop through 14, that we have room down to 13. And I think that you're going to start finding some, if we do drop down to 13, I think you're going to start finding some heavy buying coming into SoFi, because some of those deals that started being washed out of the market because the prices on stocks were getting very rich is something that you'll start to find those deals come back in. You'll start to see the money come back in because the deals will be there, and then we get that positive price action as a result. All right, let's see what else we have moving here. Just as a reminder, if there's anything you want to see, just let me know, and I will put it up there for you. I do want to stop by. So we looked at the intraday for NEO. I am interested in the overall movement that we have here. So the low so far that we've gotten, 36.83. So it just tagged, probably tagged quite a few people at that 37 mark. Hopefully people had their stops set below that, but even so, depending on what percent they set it below that 37, they still may have gotten shaken out. So sort of settling a little bit. We have room down to just under $34 per share. So I was talking about 35 and being surprised, or not being too surprised if it gets down there. Seeing it down to 30 would be really surprising. That was max selling pressure that we had at the end of the sell-off for tech and high growth. We had a big run up to almost that 56. Where do we end up? $55 per share was the high price at the peak, and now we're starting to go, and we broke down through that 50% retracement mark. So this could be that next sell-off that we see, and we're just gonna have to watch and see where that bottom is. And dollar cost averaging over time for your long-term hold positions is an excellent strategy. Now, mind you, nothing here is financial advice because I'm not licensed to give it, so it's all entertainment purposes only. So as we watch this play out, it's something that we'll have to see that price action over time and how it goes. In the short term, if it does come back down and revisits this 33, for me, I might even put in a small swing trade position in order to capitalize some of those. And the reason for swing versus long-term is that I already have a lot of long-term funds held up already in my growth portfolio for NEO. But I am willing to put out more money for short-term positions to capitalize on short-term trends that we have going on. So right now we're still getting that drop, but should we hit 33, I would take probably a swing position for myself, and then should we drop down to 30, I might even double up on that swing position in order to catch the even bigger bounce that we could have off of that. So just some ideas as I watch this play out. And for the most part, I'm a long-term investor, but when the opportunity hits in order to take those swing trades, if I see one happen, I'll definitely take it. One of the most recent ones that I've done is Shift Technologies, that I watched it bottom out, I think $6.43. And so I think $6.46 may have been my cost basis for that. So I bought a whole bunch of shares of that, and it went up over, I think I sold out at around maybe over $8.50. So up over $2 per share. So a 33% gain on my investment. And on top of that, I even had some options that I also took advantage of in that point. So that worked out really well. But I really only do that kind of stuff when I see the opportunity, what I think is an opportunity to take place. Otherwise, I don't really do a lot of the swing trading, or even less of the day trading. But even sometimes, especially when I'm live streaming right now, I don't do a lot of day trading. Just because it does take up so much of my attention, so much of my focus. But I will do it if I think that the opportunity is right, and I think that it's something that I should take advantage of, because I think that something's going to happen very quickly. And sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. The swing trades more often than not, because I'm not a swing trader. So if I feel like something is a huge opportunity, then I'll jump in on it and then exit when I feel like it's time to exit. So Let me see what else we got here. Jovi's still rocking around 8%. Let's go to see where the prices are for XPeng. All right. So not taking it as rough as Neo so far. We don't have that same gap down, but we are below the 200-day. And it looks like off of this low that we have over here, probably July 27th, and it was, that low price was $33.86, so around $34 per share. So we could drop another 10% from where we're currently at for XPeng before hitting that that support level. And let me just look across some of these other ones. Yeah, so we even have a peak over here. We have that bottom over there, and then we also have the moving average bottom. But that moving average bottom's significantly lower. That would be down another 10% from that 34-ish mark that we had. So we could easily lose another 10% on XPeng before we sort of recover that price. It is volatile, and it has been somewhat even across the tops. If this bottom stays higher, that's good, and if this top tapers down, then we could actually have a bit of a wedge play for us coming up, where sometime in a few weeks' time that we could start to see some sort of breakout in either direction. So we'll watch the highs if they continue to trend downward. We'll watch the lows if they continue to trend upward. And that could, especially as we rotate into the towards the end of 2021, we could start to see that sort of squeeze and the momentum come back to the Chinese economy, the United States economy, and just more development overall in the EV space. All right. Check out our friend Lee. There we are. So Lee's actually bumping right up against the 200-day that it has. So right now trading it as resistance. So buying in now could be something where it could give you a price sooner where that would be a little bit cheaper if you're taking a long-term stance on this and your dollar cost averaging. You know, today's green. It's not strongly green, so it wouldn't be the worst day. But after the sell-off that we've had, we're bumping up against resistance. It'd be nice to see it break resistance a little bit more than it has according to the 200-day. You can see we came down and tagged it. Big sell-off. We tagged it. As some of the drama passes, depending on how long that passes, if it's going to be over the next month until we get the next set of results coming out of that. Delta variant news needing to subside. Also the regulatory issues that we have through China, and the desire to capitalize on for China to capitalize on their own companies, to have that cash flow through China rather than flowing out to the United States, for bringing those companies to the New York Stock Exchange. You know, those are things that we want to keep an eye on over time to see that health play out. But we are also, even though we're near resistance, we're also not too far from support. Marshall, hi, Dr. Sock. Clean Spark is down 20%. Wow. I don't know if I said hello, but hello, Marshall. It's also had a price update on tip ranks. We check that out. Absolutely. There we go. My goodness, look at that gap down. That's incredible. So we have the gap down. It sort of fits what we have across the lows of this. And where are we at here? If we're going to fill that gap on the way back up, and it doesn't mean we'll go back up, but we'll take a look. So we can still go up 10% from where it's currently at right now to take us up to about where those resistance levels are, which could be very good for us. So bottomed out at 1040. And let me see. On the daily chart here right now, we're in the low 11s. Let's look intraday and see what's going on. And then we'll also check the news and everything. I'm glad you made your money. That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, if it's going to keep on working out in your favor, absolutely. And sometimes we get a gap down like this, we'll get that dead cat bounce for a stock that's trending downwards. So sometimes you can take advantage of that short-term bounce. So big sell-off, and then finally we caught some support coming in here. Looks like just under $11 per share, right around $11 per share is where we're getting a lot of that buy-side support. And it looks like currently in the low to almost mid 11s is where we start to get more of that sell side pressure. So two analysts between 45 and 50. I think we saw that before. So let me see. Reports non-GAAP loss per share of 11 cents. So let me see. Just trying to see if let's see if Seeking Alpha has anything on this one. And then we'll also check out tip ranks for you as well. All right. So still saying it could go up double and then another 50% on top of that. 150% upside has one rating. There we go. So 2 days ago from BTIG, the analyst on this one has half a star. So 40% success rate, average rate of return, $2.90. That doesn't mean that he's wrong about it. Has a 40% success rate. So, but he also 90 out of 226, so rather a high number. So 60-40 on this one for his 215% upside from that $35 one that we have there. Okay, all right. Wow, that really jumped. So I said 150, but that must have been before things loaded for us. Now it says 200%. So this thing could triple from its current price, according to this one analyst that we have here. Let's see. Let's check this one. All right, so while that's loading, I just want to take a look at the chart that we have here for CleanSpark. So we saw that gap down. There's the trail that we have sort of curving downward. Really started to accelerate its descent, and it fell down below the moving averages that we have here on the 30-minute chart. And on the daily chart, all right. Now on the daily chart, we were using the 50 period as resistance, and now we fell off resistance down here, down to finding. Let me see. Kind of locked in here across, around this sort of volatility that we have. But otherwise, I don't really see any clear support down to about, 682 would be where we start to find some more firm support. RSI dropping from that peak there. Slow, steady descent. We're almost getting to that oversold part on the daily chart. So CleanSpark. So a gap EPS of minus 49 misses. Wow. There you go. It missed by 56 cents. That's huge. So according to the generally accepted accounting principles, they should have made a 7-cent profit by expectations. Instead, they had a loss, and a fairly significant loss at that. You see revenue's up quite a bit, although that's a tiny revenue, but it's good to have that build out. So a triple, and then about half again misses by 328 million or 3.28 million, which is rather significant. So there we go. Shares down by almost 11% pre-market. Cash and cash equivalents of 22.21 million as of June 30th. Interesting. All right. So I guess looking into if they have commentary on what they believe caused them to miss by so much off of those expectations, and what was their own guidance that they had for Q2, if they put any guidance out there for Q2 leading up to their actual earnings, finding explanations for that and seeing if it was one-time temporary things, just different payments that they had. The revenue was up substantially. That was good, but why didn't they? Where that other $3 or $4 million worth of revenue? Why was that expected, and why didn't they get it? I think really to find out when this thing is going to reverse would probably be, when they start beating expectations. So looking at their Q3 or even full year 2021 guidance, or even if they go out a little bit from there, but missing by that much, those are huge misses, and that's why we get that big gap down today. All right. Just wanted to stop back by SoFi, actually up about 2% today. Where did we bottom out? So 1402. So we actually held support at 14, and that's excellent news for us. Like I said, we have room down to about 13 before taking a really big jump down from there. So SoFi, I wouldn't be surprised if this trades sideways a little bit more and that within the next few weeks that we see this back up around $17.50 or $18 per share before it starts turning around again. That's assuming that support holds here and we start to get more of a move within a range. But we see broadly, we see a lot of this sell-off that we have in the tech and the high growth space. All right, so let me see. I know we looked at Bitcoin. I don't know if we took a moment to look at Ethereum. In Ethereum, you can see just keeps on coming up here and nudging and bumping against the next line of resistance that we have. Where do I have that drawn? It looks like right around like 32.5. Yeah. So we did peak up above 3,300 for a little bit, but I remember saying before that we needed to be significantly over 32 to see 33. Well, we got significantly over 32. We saw 33. Well, or 3.3 thousand. So if we're going to see a breakup above 3,300, you know, it's just, it keeps on that. We're keeping good pressure from the underside on this. And we keep peekabooing up over that 3,300 before falling back down. It's going to take whatever that next catalyst is in order to get us pumping just a little bit more from where we're at. So on the daily chart, you can see the RSI sort of trailing off a little bit, but we're also sort of consolidating. So that's something that's not too telling. Let's go to CoinMarketCap. We'll get better news on the volume here. No problem, Marshall. And I appreciate it. I hope that this does grow. Live streaming, this is the last full week that I have for live stream before I have to return to work, but I'll come back with the recorded videos on the different companies. And if that support goes well enough to support me completely here, I would absolutely positively do this full time because I absolutely love coming on here and talking about stocks and finance, looking for those opportunities. And also for people bringing opportunities to me that I didn't even know existed. So it's pretty incredible to be able to do that. So we'll see what happens over time. There we are. So you can see a little bit of that volume taper that we have since that run up in the Ethereum prices. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see it. So the price is going up a little bit, volume trending down a little bit. So some of that that momentum coming out, and that's some of the reason why you're seeing some of that top out a little bit. We're still in a very bullish position that we haven't tumbled so much from right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we hesitate and if we drop back down, if we tag just under 3,000 somewhere in the near future. I think that it would just be one of those natural things that we have after such a big run up that we start to see people capitalize on that. We could also have, as my title says, about crypto taking a breath. I really think it is right now. I think the bulls are tired. I think it's been a big run for a lot of different cryptos. And, you know, the strength coming back to Bitcoin leading the way, and then Ethereum coming along with it. Cardano's hugely run up with the smart contracts. I believe they're coming out in early to mid-September. There's a date on that. I'm going to have to see if I can pull up that date on that one. Polygon is doing excellent, especially with its acquisition as running as a side chain to the Ethereum network, being one of those layer 2 scaling solutions that we have. And Hermes also bring with that $250 million merger that they have, where they're going to be absorbed completely by Polygon. I think that Polygon is really going to build out over time. And I think that we're going to see really awesome price action there. In Ethereum, you know how I feel about Ethereum. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to flirt with these highs on the next run that we get that will break us out of this one. And I think the ETFs, NFTs, DeFi space, I think that all of that is going to just really start to ramp us up through the end of 2021 and into the beginning of 2022, especially as the proof of the stake consensus hits. And it's harder and harder to find those tokens on the exchanges as they're being staked and as they're locked in staking. And that should also be something that drives up that price. Speaking of which, I need to put in a clarification. So when I was looking at issuance in the past, I wasn't looking at as net issuance, and they actually put in a little bit more clarity over here, a little bit more definition. Before it said about rewards and net issuance, but now they also have, they had burned, net issuance, and then net reduction they had in recently, but now they added rewards, how much burned, how much has been tipped, and then the net issuance. So the net issuance is about 35%. So that takes us from about a 4.3 or 4.5 annual rate of inflation down to a 3% rate of inflation. And that's really good for the price action. that we don't get as much inflation. And when we go to sharding and we start to build up that scalability, and we switch to proof of stake with lowering that selling pressure with the amount of Ether tokens that we get dumped back on the market, I think that we're going to see that deflationary period come up sooner than later. I think 2022 is going to be very exciting for Ether as we move forward with ETH 2.0 and as we get more institutional adoption and that DeFi space builds. All right. Yeah, thank you, Marshall. I appreciate it. All right, so some of the other ones I want to keep up with Digital Turbine, because I think that they're also subject to this sell-off, and they've actually dropped down below. Today, they actually almost broke that $50 mark, and right now they're at 51.38. So if we take a look a little bit leftward on Digital Turbine, I'll put it right about the $50 mark. You can see we're almost getting down to these lows that we had back here, a low of 47.48 before it hesitated again. We're actually nearing a death cross right now, and that could be something that gives a little bit more negative selling pressure. In other words, pressure from above, so bearish pressure, pushing that stock price down. But if you take a look at the RSI, we've actually entered the oversold territory. We are down below 30 on the RSI. I think from here, that $50 round number resist, I think, is going to be something that's going to hold for us unless there's significant market sell-off from this point. So I'm talking broad market, not just company specific to apps. I think that they're just subject to broader price action, and a lot of tech and high growth is still feeling some of those pains. But from here, we have a 2x upside on Digital Turbine. And, you know, for me, being bullish on this company, having a position in this company, and having added to this twice, as a matter of fact, I've added to this company in just this week alone. I think there might be a third time in it for me today. Just little bits at a time as we keep on seeing this and keep bringing down my cost basis. That was at like 68 to start the week, and now I think is creeping downward into the mid 60s. And then my goal is if I don't know how much exposure I want because I want to stay diversified. However, I really do like this company. So it's a tough thing to see these prices that I believe to be super cheap, discounted prices. And let's see if we have any updates on tip ranks for the analyst estimates. Last we looked, it was still 107. And we'll let this load in a moment. So 8 days ago, Maxim Group had a price pegged at 132, Roth Capital 115, Canaccord Genuity 83. So still a 60% upside from a company who said, hey, just hold on to your stock right now. We're not calling this one a buy. But it's at $50 per share. So in 12 months' time, they think it's going to be worth 83. To me, I think that we'll see this sell-off. There's going to be a lot of pain, and I think that you're going to have people starting to doing some big buying in the tech space as we move forward. And I think that Digital Turbine is going to persevere. I think that they're going to weather that storm. All right. What is your end of year price prediction for ETH? All right. So I still have Ethereum open right now, and you can see the price action that we've been subject to, and you can see the previous activity. As a matter of fact, look at this last run up that we had to the highs that we had that sort of hesitation before it made it last little run before the pop that we had. And I think I still have the RSI here. I don't, but I can put it up. So just looking at some of the technical indicators that we have, and this one being one of those momentum ones, we actually had a really good build for Ether, where in the relative strength index, where we were very bullish on it. And yes, it did reach some of that overbought. But if you looked at the price action for Bitcoin during that time, instead of having that sort of confirmation through the RSI, you had bearish divergence in a pretty big way for Bitcoin, that while Bitcoin's price was climbing higher and higher, you saw the RSI dropping lower and lower on it. So I can put that up there for you in just a moment where you can see that happening. However, for Ethereum, I think that its run got cut short by Bitcoin's price action, the sell-off that we had in crypto that resulted from it. So we don't have that same scenario right now. Yes, we're hitting that overbought, but we were also down in this bearish area. I believe that it was actually pretty well sold off. I think in having cut that run short, I think that we will return and we will see those highs. So if I had to put my stamp on this one for a price target for the end of 2021, I could see us getting back around near those $4,500 per Ether token by the end of 2021. And depending on how soon we get that announcement, like a solid date for proof of stake, which I think is going to be absolutely huge for price action and the progress for ETH 2.0. And depending on when we get for the announcements for any sort of ETFs, Bitcoin is going to be their ETFs if they get approved first. I think that they're the oldest ones that are out there that are sitting on the SEC's desk right now, and that there's at least a dozen of them. I think there might be even up to 14 of them right now, where applications for Bitcoin ETFs, and the SEC just keeps on extending them. I believe that they can go up to 240 days on a single filing for extensions before they have to make their decision. And I think that they've been doing it in like 30-day increments. So we keep on hearing about regulation, and I think having regulatory measures put down on crypto would actually be something that would accelerate the ETFs. So it's something that I think just needs to happen based off the different comments that people from the SEC have been putting out about the volatility and not being regulated and the security protecting people's assets. It's been a problem, and like everything that they're saying almost screams regulation at this point in time. So with those ETFs, with proof of stake, getting us back near that $4,500, somewhere in that range. I think then in early 2022 is where we see that next pump that starts to give us even more positive price action. So we'll have to see how that plays out over time. Sharding will be the next big thing that we look for after that, where they start to use optimistic rollups and ZK rollups in order to give us better scaling for the Ethereum network overall, all the while saving a ton more power. I think it's something like over 99% of the energy being used for proof of work will just be gone because of the way proof of staking works. And you can actually do that with my MacBook that I have in front of me, is powerful enough to do anything proof of stake just as well as any supercomputer that would be out there. And if I have the 32 ETH stake, then that would be something that would give me just as much attention or priority as anybody else in the world who would have those 32 ETH staked. So it is a big change, and I'm just excited about it. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice or not. I know that I tend to be kind of monotone when I talk about these things, and my excitement gets sort of muted. I keep on getting told that I should be on screen the way I am in real life, which is pretty energetic and very animated. And I don't know why I'm not like that when it comes to the screen. I guess because I get serious about these things, because I care about my own financial future. I care about my family's financial future. I feel very serious about this. And I also want to bring you the best information possible. So I tend to come off a little bit serious when I do these sort of presentations. And club, no problem. Anything that I can do. All right, let's stop by Cardano and see if we can quickly pull up the date that we have for their smart contracts. There you go. I missed it. There you go. I have a key to my brother's house, and he has a very nice gaming computer that has a lot of RAM in it, has a separate graphics card in it, a very powerful one at that. And I could probably also output to even more monitors, and then we wouldn't get the same lag when I do these streams. He might be pretty upset with me. He's always been bigger than me. He's 4 years older than me. But, maybe I'm like, nah, I don't know what happened to it, and just hide it anytime that he comes over. Then I wouldn't lag so much in my live streams. But until that time, maybe it's just easier if I buy my own. Maybe that's the right call. All right. So Cardano, check out that price run that we see. Since people started getting hyped about first of all, we have Bitcoin and Ethereum leading the way, bringing some of that strength back to the crypto market. So that's some of the run that we see. And then just this parabolic move that we have taking place with it looks like it's forming up to be a bullish flag. So depending on how much we keep bumping up or dancing around resistance and support that we have with Bitcoin and Ethereum, that could be that next push for Cardano. We have broken up over solidly over the $2 mark. So we actually have fairly good support from below at that $2 mark for Cardano. And I don't believe them to be an Ethereum killer. I believe that they're an Ethereum competitor. I think that there's going to be a very solid and very comfortable space for Cardano to continue their research-based projects and products that they put out there, and their builds to the network, I think, are going to be very, very positive for the space over time, and that we're going to see a lot of innovation coming out of IOHK that gets applied for Cardano, and they are going to be that slow, steady build that we have. That's going to try not to make those missteps that we see with some of the other cryptos. So it's actually kind of nice to see the first to market go through and take those stumbles and take all those growing pains, and then Cardano kind of coming through and backfilling along the way with a cleaner product overall. So I don't know. Hello, Bernard. I don't know if you guys have ever done any sort of computer programming. I've only ever dabbled in it. I've done it with a couple different languages, and it's more of a hobby thing for when I've done that sort of stuff. But I do enjoy it, and sometimes you put something together and you build it up, and you're like, hey, this works. This is good. Which is like the first blockchain technologies that we have, and Bitcoin is an example of that. And then you have other innovators come through and look for ways to optimize. So like when I would be writing that language, I'm like, you know what? I can actually wrap this up. I can make this a much cleaner function, and I can encapsulate this better. I can actually cut out some of these other steps. So then I optimize and I clean it up, and then I work out the bugs until something's actually smooth and polished and pretty. And so I think that Cardano kind of fits that niche where they have that smooth, polished, and pretty going for them, and it's just going to be a little bit slower, but I think that people will be happy with the results by the time that they're done. So we'll say that they bring some craftsmanship to the cryptocurrency space that it might bring some polish that's missing in other areas. All right, 72, a good entry point for Roblox. All right, so there we go. So Roblox gapped down on their earnings. That things have showed to slow down a little bit for them. Let's actually go. Let's see if Seeking Alpha is linked here. If it's not, we'll go there ourselves. All right. So sometimes with the market, when we look forward, when we anticipate some of that anticipated value or fundamental value gets priced into the stocks early. And so even though the company might not presently be worth what it's trading at, Tesla is a really good example of that. That Tesla in no way is currently worth what they're trading at. It's all their future fundamental value and the picture that people see for Tesla moving forward that keeps the price up as high as it is. So Roblox, I think some of the hit that it took with its earnings is that some of what was seen for Roblox and some of that the big momentum coming out for them was something that got missed a little bit. And so people go back and they readjust and they replan. And right now it's saying $76 right here for this. And let me see. Roblox dips 2% as bookings and net loss fall short of expectations. Let's see what sort of summary we get here. All right. Second quarter earnings fell short of expectations for bookings and profitability. Bookings rose 35% to 665 million, and net loss widened to 142.9 million from previous loss of 72.3 million. Amid costs and expenses that more than doubled from the previous year. So Roblox is doing a lot to innovate. So looking to see why this loss widened the way that it did. Maybe they even say, because I didn't read through this yet, but it's not always a bad reason for them to lose more money. Sometimes they're very good reasons. I'll use NEO as an example. So for NEO, they want to put out a lower cost vehicle. So they want to put out a new line under a different name, but it's still going to be NEO vehicles. And I think I saw a price tag of about 31,000 US dollars being about the price for that. So about half the price of a base model NEO. I think that they run around 60,000-ish US dollars. That's something I have to go back and check because I was not in the position to buy a NEO since they're currently sold in China and then soon to Europe. I live in the United States, and while we don't have solid news yet, we just have rumors about possible expansion into the U.S. markets. But for Neo, building cars is super expensive, and it takes a lot of overhead in order to produce that, and it really chomps into that bottom line. It really causes big losses. It's just it's expensive over time, but in order to grow that company, they have to make that investment. You know, they need to use the cash that they have and the cash that comes in, and they need to do capital raises, and so that's something that can really affect a stock's price over time. So some of that trouble that Neo's having is from that. So back to Roblox that we have here. If that's what's happening, that their net loss widened to the 142.9 million, so 143 million dollars, you know, if they're doing it for innovation purposes, if they're using it to grow their business, is it really that concerning? It could be, but if we see results of that growth, and I can bring in skills into this. So for skills, they spent a whole ton on advertising during Q2, and their monthly active users dropped anyhow. So it's all that spending, but no results coming from that spending, or you know, even a drop instead of having, you know, instead of even going sideways with it. That's why we see the drop that we do with skills. So for Roblox here, if that loss happened because they're working on expanding their business and they're innovating, and maybe some of it is advertising revenue, and I'm just speculating here, that could be good things as long as we see the results coming out of that. So both measures worse than else happened. Users' engagements did rise to record levels. So let me see. Daily active users jumped up almost 29%. Excellent. So that's something that's different than what we saw with skills, where their monthly active users had dropped for the first time, I think, in the recorded history. I'd have to go back and look at the charts, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And hours engaged up 13% to 9.7 billion. That's awesome. The average bookings per daily active user ticked up slightly to 1541. Okay, as for Roblox Heavy watched key growth metrics, growth internationally and outside children's audience, daily active users grew 42% outside the US and Canada, and grew 46% among those over the age of 13. Engagement rose 27% in overseas markets and 29% among users over 13. Roblox is, in my opinion, doing, I think that they're doing very well. And I want to look more into this bookings and see what's going on, and also to see why that net loss widened. So net cash from operations rose 64% to 192 million in free cash flow. That's awesome. So they have more cash. So they got almost $200 million in cash, and they got 168 million. So pushing on that, and that went up 70%. Free cash flow, I talked about this. I think it was, yeah, Simon, we can check into skills and see if we have that sort of insider selling. So we'll look into that in a moment, but here we have it. It says free cash flow, and free cash flow is awesome. So for them to have $168 million in free cash flow coming out of Q2, that's money that they can do whatever they need to do with it. So they can use it to reinvest in their business in whichever direction it needs that support, or needs that growth, or needs that innovation. So we want to see some of those results from that free cash flow take place. So you're really going to focus on the fact that it's freed up. It's able to be used wherever it needs to be used. And if you have too small free cash flow, and we can think about this on an individual level rather than a company level. If you have too few, when you don't have a lot of cash flow, free cash flow, then you don't really have any wiggle room or options on what to do with it, because your money is all tied up somewhere else already. So the fact that they have that growing amount of free cash flow in order to use wherever they want to use it is a really good thing. Just like on an individual level, if we had a lot of free cash flow, we could repoint that to wherever it is that we want it to go or need it to go. And the same things with investing, that if we had that free cash flow, or the cash freed up in order to use it for our purposes, that we have more choices to take advantage of opportunities that we see within the market. All right, so it's 11 minutes after 10, and I usually I always aim to end at 10, and I always go over. So I'll go for probably another 5, maybe 10 minutes. I do have some things that I need to take care of following this live stream. But I will talk about this the rest of the way. And then Simon also asked about skills, so I'm going to check into that. So we'll see that if there are some insider selling, if we have record of it. I think TipRanks also shows us some of that as well, if there's insider selling from the company. So For July, the company estimates the daily active users were up 28% year over year to 46.4 million, up 8% from June. Hours engaged for 3.8 billion, up 22% year over year. I think that they're still putting in some strong growth numbers that we have here, up 92%. Okay. Yeah, so that'll be awesome, and hopefully there's a presentation, a new presentation released. Yeah, right here. Roblox Corporate 2 2021 results, earnings call presentation. So if you have access to Seeking Alpha, actually, no, you don't need it. If you go to Roblox website, you should be able to go to their investor relations page and check out that earnings call presentation to get more information other than just what they have summarized here on Seeking Alpha. All right, so Simon's asking about skills. Let's go check it out. There we go. There we go. So it looks like the chief technology officer has been doing a lot of different selling that we have. So 6 days ago, 5 days ago, 2 days ago, 2 days ago, 2 days ago. So 2, 3, dumping like 3.5 million-ish dollars, maybe close to $4 million worth of stock. And let me see. I just want to see some of the other transactions that we have there. There's Andrew Paradise. So 5 months ago, he sold. And so right now it's August. 5 months ago would put us back into March. And I don't know. Our price was definitely off the highs back in March. If the stock has run up and you get that sort of insider selling like that, then that's something where they could be taking advantage of the stock options that they were allotted anyway. So they're taking some of that payment. Let me see. Last month he bought 810. 3 months ago, 810. Selling when it's down, and from the chief technology officer, it might be worth seeing how much more. This could be a small amount of what he was able to get. So looking at the SEC filings would be a good place to go and look and see this Aguirre Miriam. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. It would be a good place to go and look and find out what we see there. You can see there's been a little bit of buying, but mostly selling. The only 2 buys that we had were very small allotments. There we go. Yeah, Andrew Paradise. Look at that. That right there's one of the big ones. About 200 millions. That was 5 months ago. So that can definitely be something that can be signed. The big thing about insider selling is that could show that there's a lack of faith in their own company. It could be something that would go beyond them just trying to take a little bit of compensation for what they're owed. So I don't know how much of a position Aguirre has. You can actually go to the SEC filings and find out just exactly how many shares they have. And this could turn out to be a very small amount of cash for the chief technology officer. And for Andrew Paradise, $200 million worth. Is quite sizable, but I believe that he still owns quite a bit more on top of that. So yeah, I think that's worth looking up, and that would help decide that sort of future. We're under the $11 mark right now for skills, sitting at 10.7, and I think that we won't see positive price action until we have further news coming out of skills into Q3. A second quarter of disappointment, and not to be confused with the second quarter. But if Q3 is the second consecutive, or the first consecutive, how does that go? The second quarter in a row of disappointment, that could be very, very bad for them going forward. So I think that's something to read up about. Make your decisions wherever you have to meet, wherever you want to make them. For me, Skills is a company that's in my growth portfolio, and it's one that I continue to hold on to for right now. There is always room for that sort of reevaluation. And so that's why we distribute our funds across a number of stocks rather than concentrate them on a single one. And Skills, they have a lot of promise and they have some good things going. Let's put them up here. There we go. And you can see that sort of sell off that I had. I had those lows and saying, we could hang on there, but if we broke through, we could break through quite a bit. And we are down almost to where we're at just before the SPAC deal was announced for Skills. And at one point, this going up over $46 per share was probably quite a bit too rich. And for this one, we want to see that that their platform is actually something that is being well used and well developed, and we have a trend upwards in monthly active users. So maybe this past one was a hiccup that we had for Q2, but if it turns out that it's not a hiccup and it's something that's actually trailing off, that could be something that over time that we just see this sort of fade into irrelevance. And so that's one of the risks that you take by going into the high growth companies, is that sometimes those promises that they put out, or the potential that they have, is something that goes unfulfilled. So I'm going to hold the position where I'm at, as I have been holding the position where I'm at, and I am going to keep an eye on what exactly is taking place with it. No problem, Bernard. So are the rumors inside selling on Skills true and could go sub 10? Honestly, with the market conditions, Simon, as we have right now, if we continue to sell off, if we keep on getting more economic turmoil and geopolitical turmoil that we have throughout the world, this could be something that we could see that rotation out of tech and high growth again. In which case, Skills already being at a depressed price right now, going sub 10 could most definitely happen. And really watching what those insiders are doing. Andrew Paradise, it was 5 months ago since he sold, at least what's been reported on tip ranks. If he sells again at these prices, that would show if it's another $200 million allotment, for example. So at these low prices, that would be, if it's a huge sell on the CEO's part at the really low prices, to me, that would be almost like he was jumping ship rather than going down with his ship. If he sells at high prices or prices that are actually when it's on its uptrend instead, or if it was at these highs, that could be just taking advantage of the price action that they were seeing at that point in time. Now, mind you, the 5 months ago that they talked about, we actually had a similar peak back here before that, the rest of that big sell-off. So he may have been out while it was still in the $20 range before it dropped down to its sub 20 range. And now we're tickling that $10 mark at the moment. 10.62 is the bottom price right now. All right, so it is currently 10:20. I'm going to wrap things up. I want to thank you guys for stopping in and supporting this channel. If you want to check out Moomoo for access to those foreign markets that are out there, especially the Hong Kong market, that is there for you. You can pick up to 4 free stocks valued up to $3,500. And then also Webull, I believe it's $2,300 for 2 stocks, and they may have gone down from a $100 initial deposit down to a $5 initial deposit to get your 2 free stocks through Webull, and also that referral link for the Patreon is also down in the description. That's it for today, guys. I'll be back tomorrow at 9:15 for another live stream. This is my last full week of live streaming. Fortunately, I still have employment. That was a big question mark. I thought I'd be doing this full time. So thanks to some grant money, I still have a job, but it's a ticking time bomb. Once that grant money is run out, then I'm back out of a job again. So we'll keep this YouTube thing going. I really do enjoy it. I really do have fun doing it. I'm going to put out those recorded videos again in the events that I can't do those live streams. I think Monday I'm still able to do that live stream, but by Tuesday, I'll be back to work by that time. So I'll be talking more about individual companies rather than companies all throughout the market. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace.